on the way home radio. What's good, Maniacs? It's your boy Manny. Call me Manny.com. This podcast is one of the many ways that I'm trying to stay in touch with you. If you consider yourself to be a fan of my music, you should go to callmemanny.com/get updates to learn more. Welcome to episode 5 of On the Way Home Radio. You've already seen the title. Today, we're going to talk about what does it mean for a song to be great, at least for me. I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth to that, but just want to mention a couple things about the podcast itself. So first of all, thank you all for being here. 5 episodes in. For me, that itself feels like an accomplishment. I read somewhere that most podcasts stop at episode 7. A lot of people start a podcast. They think they have a lot of expectations for it. They go 7 episodes in, and then they say, oh, well, nobody seems to care. And so passing that 7th episode milestone is going to be somewhat important to me to make sure that I'm not part of that statistic. But I already don't feel like that's the case anyways in terms of nobody seems to care. I will tell you that in the past, with the numbers that I'm getting, for example, like I look at the overall streams that the podcast is getting, the past version of me would have probably said, oh, this is meaningless. I'm not making as big of an impact as I thought I would or anything along those lines. But this version of me, like, there's no way. I mean, I've already had so many conversations with, many of you individually about some of the things that I mentioned in the podcast that I randomly say, like, at, 15 minutes in or something like that. So the fact that there is even one of you, and I know that there's not, I know that there's more than one of you, but the fact that there is even one of you listening really means the world to me. So I really, really appreciate that. You're a maniac in my eyes, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for supporting me in that way. Just taking the time to listen to my music, listen to my podcast, getting to know me a little bit better. Feels great. Feels great that you care. And so I want to just thank you for that. Thank you for being here on episode 5 of On the Way Home Radio. If you are listening to this podcast, again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. So appreciate that. If you are watching this podcast on YouTube, you might see that I'm in a little bit of a different position than I normally am. I normally had the camera right here against this wall facing that way so you could see my background. And there was part of me that said, okay, yeah, that's cooler. It makes the shot more dynamic, which I think it does. But there's another part of me that's like, nobody cares. Nobody's here to see my background. I think this podcast in itself is going to develop over time to, where I might have like a podcasting space, a more appropriate studio space. And that'll be cool. I guess you're going to see this whole thing develop over time into something a little bit more, professional, which is a part of, it's one book that I read that is really about that. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. I will definitely add that to the list of books that I've already talked about in this podcast. You can go to callmemanny.com/recommendations, callmemanny.com/recommendations, and you'll be able to see the link so you can listen to or buy the book that I'm recommending. But Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson just talks about how the majority of people often think in entrepreneurship, right, in business, ready, aim, fire. The problem is that you spend so much time aiming that you never fire. And that is definitely true. That's definitely something I've had a problem with my entire life. When it comes to my music, when it comes to business, I spend so much time trying to perfect it before I actually release it that I never end up releasing it. And this podcast is a little bit of a test for me to start to get comfortable with things that are not perfect. This podcast is far from perfect. I'm not even editing it, which is scary to me. But yeah, so cool. Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. Great book. definitely highly recommend it if you are into starting your own business. So let's get started with today's topic. What I want to talk about today specifically is, what does it mean for a song to be great? So when I think about that, the first thing I think about is my playlist, right? So I run a playlist on Spotify called On The Way Home Music. And it's no specific genre. It is mainly R&B, but it's no specific genre. Basically, all I do there is I listen to a lot of new songs. Every new week, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm just spending time finding new songs. Could be from artists that I already know, artists that I may not know. And I felt like the reason why I started the playlist was because I would find these random songs that nobody's ever heard of. And I would say, man, this song is incredible. This song should be number one on the radio. And then eventually it blows up and it becomes, number one on the radio. And so I definitely called that for Magic Rude. I heard Rude actually initially. I was at I'm trying to remember the name of the place. I was at I don't remember. I was at a restaurant in Tampa with my cousins, and it was an outdoor place. I know my fiance is gonna hear this and be like, "How could you not remember the name of the restaurant?" Anyways, there was a guy there, and he was singing songs, and he sang one song, and it was "Rude" by Magic. They were completely unknown at the time. They were in Australia. They were getting somewhat popular in Australia at the time, and I remember looking up the lyrics, found the song, and I was like, "Man, the song's incredible." We left from there straight to Miami, 4-hour drive. I listened to the song over and over again, a 4-hour drive down. And I was like, this song is incredible. It has great storytelling, great production, great master. It's just an overall great song. Why is this not on the radio? This is the kind of music that needs to be heard. And eventually it hit. And I know before that also, I remember Nico and Vinz, actually they used to be called Envy when I first heard that. And that's how you know this is real. When they were I believe they were from the UK. They were a duo, and their artist name was Envy, and they had the song "Am I Wrong?" If I'm wrong on the name, whatever. I remember vaguely, but I remember it being Envy, and it was "Am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that we could be something for real?" I heard that song, and I was like, "Wow, this song is incredible." Same thing. I heard the song on repeat, whatever. Over time, I think about 2 months later, that's when they became Nico and Vinz, because I think they had a dispute about their artist name, since there was like a band or something with the same name. So they blew up, right? Obviously, you probably know that song. If you don't know that song, go check it out. If you don't know either of those songs, you're living under a rock. Anyways, so those are just a couple examples. I feel like I've had a lot of examples over the course of my life, almost like if I'm an A&R, finding these really talented artists saying, this is about to blow up. Now, maybe I'm not an A&R. Maybe I'm just seeing it before it happens. Maybe I'm just in the right position. I'm sure everybody maybe has a feeling like this over time. But overall, I think that I have found something to me that is like a formula for what makes a great song. And so when I update my Spotify playlist On The Way Home Music, I kind of go through this formula to add these songs to this playlist. I add 5 songs to the playlist every single week. It updates on Sundays. So on Friday, I don't give myself a lot of time here. But on Friday, and I've been doing this basically all year, on Friday, I will listen to all the new songs that show up on the different playlists that I'm following, as well as Discover Weekly. Like different playlists that are recommended to me, and just from my own research from artists and everything that I find about new music. I follow a lot of artists on Twitter as well, just kind of keep up with what's about to happen. And I will listen to, honestly, it feels like close to maybe 150, 200 songs. I don't obviously listen to them all the way. I'll just scan through them. And then I will kind of collect maybe 10 to 15 songs that are decent. And then ultimately I condense it to just 5 songs. In order for you to get on this playlist, you have to be one of the best 5 songs of that week. Right. And so that's kind of a con, I could say, because there might be a really great song that I excluded from the playlist from the previous week that would have made it if it just released on this week. But that's just how it works. So what's the second. Apologize for that. Okay, 1 second. Okay, apologize for that. Got an incoming call. But let me finish with the podcast. I'll call him back. Okay, so where was I? So you have to be one of those 5 songs in order to make it to the playlist. Okay, so how do I identify what these songs are going to be? The very first thing I listen for, it's weird. I will play the song and I'll skip to like 40 or 50 seconds into the song. And I'll listen for the quality of the production and the engineering. Now, there could also be an emotion that I immediately feel when I hear the song. So some songs that maybe don't have the right production or engineering, if they trigger an emotion immediately from that 40 to 50 second mark, then that's something interesting. I'll tag it. So I'll tag all these songs. So when it comes to the production and engineering part, what am I listening for? I'm listening for something that's unique, or something that just sounds great. It's like a really great mix, and it's just high quality. So one of the things I'll mention is, when it comes to unique, there's a lot of songs that I like that the mastering sounds very weird, but it sounds so intentional. And that, I think, is a very interesting thing. So trying to think of an example off of the cusp, but I don't know if I could just do it off the top of my head. So let me just see if I can scroll through and see if I can find one. Oh, I got another criteria thing that I'll tell you about in a second as well. So let me see. I'm just going through my playlist right now to just scan for some of the things that I know I like. I definitely did a good job of silencing my phones for this podcast. I apologize for that. Okay, here's a good one. Bedtime Story by Rini. Obviously, not going to play the song right now because copyrights and everything. But if you go listen to Bedtime Story, or if you want to just follow the podcast, the song is in the podcast, just go to callmanny.com/playlists, or go to callmanny.com and click playlist. That song has a very, very unique master. It sounds interesting, and it's so purposeful. When you listen to it, you'll just understand that it wasn't by accident. They did it that way on purpose. And I remember first listening, let's say, to The Weeknd and Trilogy, listening to his mixes and his master, and it was another unique thing that they just sounded so crisp, but they sounded so dark at the same time. Very interesting. Magic Jordan, they have a song called Her. Their very first EP, I loved it. They had a song called Her that you can tell that just the way that they mix and mastered it is not normal. It's so insanely unique, but you can tell that they didn't just make it that way because that's what the DAW did. DAW is the digital audio interface workspace. They just kind of accidentally stumbled upon a sound. No, I feel like they heard the sound in their head and then they made it a reality. So that's what I listen for. I listen for that kind of uniqueness in the sound, and I listen for just overall crisp, nice, good quality production or emotion. One of the other things that I listen for is if this song was done by a more famous artist, would it be as popular? And I know I mentioned this on this podcast before, a song by Mahalia that if it was done by Rihanna, it would have been number 1 on the radio. It's Mahalia and Burna Boy. There's a lot of songs like that. There's a song actually on my playlist right now called Icy by Pink Sweats. If you go listen to that song right now, that's Bruno Mars. If Bruno Mars sang Icy by Pink Sweats, it would have been number 1 on the radio, and you would have loved it. you probably would love it. Let me rephrase that. You would love this song, but you don't know about it because it's not Bruno Mars. It's a relatively unknown artist. Some of you might know Pink Sweats. If you listen to my music, you might. That's just part of my audience, I guess. But Pink Sweats, by himself, is a relatively unknown artist. Incredible though, to me, incredible artist. So that's another thing I look for. Like I might listen to a song and then I'll say, man, this song sounds great. Who does it sound like? And then I'll go and I'll think, okay, if it was that person, does it fit? Yes. Okay. Then it would, this song would be a hit if it was that person, right? So there's a lot of artists. There are some artists that just, to me, they don't miss. Every single song to me by that artist is a work of art in itself. I could definitely say I feel that way about Bryson Tiller's music. I obviously feel that way about, Drake's music. It's just a hit factory. Bruno Mars, I'm a huge fan of Bruno Mars. Just trying to think of different artists off the top of my head that are just hit factories to me. But there's certain people that I don't think they miss. They just, doesn't matter what they do basically at this point on a song, I'm going to like it. So anyways, that's what I listen for. Now, so I don't give myself a lot of time. You got 10 seconds to impress me on the song. So 40 to 50 seconds. Now, sometimes I'll listen to that 40, 50 second mark and it'll sound good, but I'm not there yet. So then I'll skip to like a minute and 30, or I'll go back to the beginning of the song and let it play. Because there's another unique thing where like I might go to 40, 50 seconds of the song and it's just like, I'm just kind of confused as to what's happening there. That's a good thing. That means it's unique, but I'm not in love yet. So I might go back to the beginning of the song and let it play to see how does it build? How does it build into what I'm listening to in 40 seconds? And that could tell me something. So if there's something along those lines, tagged. Every now and again, there will be a song that I listen to at 40, 50 seconds and I know that song's going to be amazing. I can already tell that song's going to be incredible. And that'll trigger me to go listen to the song back from the beginning, and I'll end up listening to the song the whole way through. And if I end up repeating the song, or if the song ends up, if I'm stuck on the song and I'm not scanning through new songs, I already know that that is going to be an incredible song, and it's definitely has all of the things that I'm looking for in the song. So that doesn't happen too often when I'm scanning through these musics, through these new songs every week. But when it does, I can just tell right away that it's something special. Usually, to me, I feel like those are the songs like that kind of moment is like what I had probably with Rude. What I had with Nico and Vin's and Am I Wrong? That I listen to these songs and it's like, why am I just finding out about this? So I'll rewind and I'll go listen to it over and over again. All right, so at this point in time, I've listened to I've scanned 150 to 200 songs, 40 to 50 seconds, 10 seconds each, which I'm like not even thinking about how much time that is, but it's a good amount of time. I spent a good amount of time doing this. There's a lot of songs too that I can immediately tell in the first 1 or 2 seconds that it's not going to be good, so then I'll just move forward. And when I say not going to be good, well, there are some songs that I just know are just straight up terrible, from like whether it's lyrically or the subject matter the artist is putting out just doesn't make sense. The production isn't great. The engineering is off. There are some genres that I generally am not a huge fan of. So anything that's like hard or heavy rock, not a huge fan of those genres. Believe it or not, I actually like country. So I might listen to a country song and really like the emotion there. But that's generally what happens. So now I have about 10 to 15 songs, and this is where the hard part comes in. How do I condense it to 5 songs? So I'll do the same thing again. I'll scan through the 40 to 50 songs. I'm sorry, the 15 songs from the 40-second mark, and I'll let it play a little bit longer. And I just kind of get an idea for the emotion, the lyrics behind what are we talking about in this song? What is the emotion? Which is something I'm already kind of scanning for as I scan through the music the first time. I already get an idea of what these songs are about. And so there is a little bit too about what is the message that the song has that, aside from the production, what is the message? But that's what finalizes it. So you gotta have a unique sound. You gotta have a good production. You gotta have good engineering or something unique. But then you have to have a powerful message. What are we doing here, right? What am I listening to this song for? What are you trying to? What emotion are you trying to convey? And that's really the biggest part. And so if you can trigger some sort of emotion, a memory, some sort of thought, or give me lyrics that address something, can provide some sort of impact on my life, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And essentially, you won't get on the playlist if you're not going to make some type of impact. So you'll find that the majority of the songs have something to do with some sort of purpose or some sort of emotion that are tied into it. The idea for this playlist, it was originally, for those of you that have been following it for a while, it was originally songs I wish I wrote. So it's songs that I feel like I'm late. I should have wrote this song. I should have thought about this first, and I'm upset that I didn't. But it's a great song no matter what. And I want to pay homage and give respect to the artist for making that happen. So I know I spent the majority of the time right now talking about the production and the engineering, but that's only because there's a level of quality that I'm looking for. And at the end of the day, though, you can have a great quality song, but if the lyrics aren't hitting, the lyrics aren't touching me right here or making me think, it's not going to get on the playlist. So what happens? I'll kind of get down to these 15 songs, and then I'll start scanning for the songs that have like the biggest impact, and there'll probably be like 3, maybe. On a good week there'll be 4. And so there's like that fifth song that's kind of like, do I want to add this one? So the fifth song is usually something that's kind of like really close, like on the edge. Maybe not the best lyrically, but I love the production. I love the engineering. I love what the engineers, the mixing and mastering engineers were doing with this song. Or I love the artistic direction of the artist, but not necessarily in love with the lyrics. But that's the most important thing. A song that I almost got to the point where I said I'm not gonna add songs beyond the lyrical aspect, but I really like the idea of having at least 5 songs that get added to the playlist. It challenges me to give these other songs a chance. And you'll be surprised too, there are definitely some songs that grow on me over time lyrically that I did not expect to be at that point. But that's the most important thing. So I know I started by talking about the production engineering, which probably makes you think that's the most important thing. But I really kind of save the best for last when I think about what makes a song great. I really love the quote at the end of Drake's third album that says, "Only real music's gonna last. All that other bull is here today and gone tomorrow." And I definitely think there's a lot of artists out right now that fit in that description completely. And you'll find that like my playlist is not a list of all of the most popular songs out. I mean, if you want a list of the most popular songs out, just go to whatever's the most popular playlist. That's great. I'm not competing with them. My playlist is about emotion, essentially songs I wish I wrote. So, yeah. So that's to me what makes a song great. So there's a lot of I could have another podcast that'll be insanely long about what makes a song terrible. But trying to keep a positive message here. So if you want to have a great song, if you're an artist listening to this podcast, or if you are a listener and you want to try to listen to better music, listen for that emotional piece. If it's not doing something to your heart or to your mind as you're listening to it, if it's not creating some sort of emotional connection for you, then it's not a great song, in my opinion. And it probably won't last. That's probably the most biggest thing. It won't last. It might be a hit. It might be something that you listen to today. Great. You'll forget about that song 3 years from now. Go to Billboard's website and listen to read the Hot 100 list from 4 years ago. And you'll be like, oh my God, I remember that song. Oh my God, I remember that song. Well, how come you don't remember that song without having to see it? right? Because it just doesn't last, right? There's a lot of songs that just don't last. There's a lot of songs that do. Okay, hey, we're already 25 minutes in. I don't even know where the time went. That flew by. Like that. That was like, I don't, that's crazy. I don't know what happened there. That flew by. So if you're still here, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. If you're here on YouTube, hope you enjoyed a little bit more of a casual watching or viewing experience here on YouTube. Definitely recommend. I usually actually have not added too many call to actions on these podcasts. I guess I've been saying to text me, which I continuously encourage you to do. So 754-799-0044. If you're hearing this podcast at any point in time, just text me directly. I will get the message. I have my phone on me right now. If you did it right now, I would get the message. Okay. So text me 754-799-0044. Or make sure to subscribe to my mailing list. So if you haven't done that already, I highly doubt it. If you're 26 minutes into this podcast and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go to callmemanny.com and click where it says Become a Maniac, or click Get Updates, or go to callmemanny.com/get updates so you can become a maniac. Just subscribe to my mailing list. You'll get updates whenever I release my new podcast, whenever I release my new YouTube videos, and of course, whenever I release my new music. On top of that, I'm giving away one free merch item every single month to a random active subscriber. I'll literally give you a coupon code. You just go to my website, you redeem the coupon code, shipping included. So if you want to have a chance to win free merch, go ahead and subscribe to my mailing list, callmemanny.com/get updates. So thank you so much for watching or for listening. I really, really, really appreciate it. Please share this video with one friend. And as always, be great. On the Way Home Radio.